Welcome, everybody, to the Greatest Glory podcast. I want to speak about the most important first step on personal and spiritual development today, and that would be self awareness and self analysis. What do I mean by that? Let's start putting it this way. If you don't know what is the current status of yourself or a situation, it's impossible to change it. In order for you to change something, you need to first understand it. Just like they say, if you want to beat your enemy, you need to know your enemy. Here, the enemy could be your own defects, your own dark spots, shadow, and defects that you're not aware of it. And in order for us to make a change in our lives, first we need to evaluate where we are. And I think one of the most important aspects of doing this is to use our amazing gift that has been given to us, which is writing. If you spend a few days and write about your life from where you came and where you are and where you want to go, you will achieve a lot of clarity on how to change it. It's often enlightening when you start analyzing your progress of your life and how you're doing. I remember one time for the first time I started analyzing where am I spending my money, and I felt an enlightening space in me opening up. I just realized how many of things that I purchased were unnecessary or they were compulsive, or I just used them for the short time and then I put them away and I occupied my life with so many unnecessary things. That's just an economic example. But if you do that for yourself and analyze and see how you're doing with your life, your relationship, your job, what is it that you desire? Not only what you desire on the surface, what is it that you really want to achieve by doing all those things in your life? What really makes you happy? Why do you think you have not achieved it? What can you change? And these questions are important, and I want you to write them down. And let's continue with the questions. What are the action steps that you think you need to take? What is needed for you to take those action steps? What kind of support do you think you need? What kind of money, investment, guidance, information, and so on you think you need? Maybe some spiritual support, maybe some therapy, maybe some course. It could be many things. Another question you could ask yourself is how you're spending your time and energy. Where is your time and energy going most of the time? What is your daily routine? How much time you're spending on your well-being versus just fulfilling regular compulsive desires that all of us have? How much of the time that you're investing is on your personal development and well-being and health? Because that's very important question. Are you spending at least a little time, maybe 10% of your time on improving your mind, improving your thoughts, changing your perception of the world, making your view of the world more peaceful, more positive? Are you spending time on your health, your diet, studying about how you can have more energy and better health? And if you're not doing any of these, for example, and then you're not feeling happy or you feel that you're stuck in your life, it's a good time to ask yourself, why aren't you doing those things? Because that could enlighten you a lot. Because after all, the most important thing in your life is not your significant other, your parents, or anybody else. It's not even your religion or your cause or whatever. The most important thing is yourself, most important person. because you're doing anything that you do in many ways, directly or indirectly, to feel happy, to feel whole. And if you are not doing the right things, like not investing enough time and energy on yourself, it's time to question your thoughts and actions and change it. So writing can help you a lot for doing this. And you could also use different tools that will help you even accomplish this better on long term. You could listen to other people's feedback more. Yes, I know that other people are not always right. Sometimes people have their own limited view of you, but still, a lot of time listening to others can give you a lot of insights. You could even ask others about yourself. How do you think I'm doing? Where do you think I'm doing good? Where do you think I can improve? And so on. It could be a question you put in front of your clients, your manager, your boss, your friends, your family, even though family members are not always a good option to go to because of the limited view and emotions that are involved, but still it can be helpful if they are supporting of you. And you can also spend regular time on studying personal development and spiritual books. Books are also called a mirror because a lot of time they show you a lot of things about you by giving you different perspective. Literally, when you study new information, you are making new neurons, new connections in your brain. You're expanding your world. So studying not only about a specific subject. For example, you might like plants and you study only about plants, but studying about life and human beings and psychology and success and principles of life, and those things will help you understand yourself and your world better. Another powerful technique that you can use is to question your thoughts and what you're doing regularly. If you're getting upset about something, someone, or a situation, you could ask yourself, why am I reacting to this situation? And become silent for a second. Often you might see a new thought that you have not noticed, a part of your shadow, a dark spot in your subconscious. And when you become aware of those things, those compulsions, those reactions, you start becoming more self-aware and realizing how you can change yourself by bringing the light of awareness to those spots. Ask yourself constantly, what really makes me happy? Is this thought that I am involved in, or this action bringing me peace, health, wholeness? Is this good for my health, my overall wholeness? See, we often have never thought to watch our thoughts and analyze them. We just compulsively are drowned in the thoughts and we just act upon them. The very awareness of the thoughts and separating yourself from the thoughts and watching them, just like you're seeing another person, brings enormous amount of change and upliftment in you. If you practice even for 10 seconds a day to consciously watch your thoughts instead of just being controlled by the thoughts and being drowned in it, even though it could be pretty difficult, it can create a lot of change in your life. As a matter of fact, a lot of the spirituality and meditation and those things is about becoming a witness to your limited self personality, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. Because We have been programmed to compulsively react even in fraction of second to the thoughts and emotions that surface up. And as long as we are just reacting to everything, well-being, health, and liberation or higher consciousness is impossible. Only when we become aware of those compulsive thoughts and we practice remaining non-reactive to those processes, we can create transformation. Another powerful technique that you can use is journaling. Spend every day in the evening, night, before bed, whatever, commit to a few minutes every day and write down on a computer, on a Word document, on a notebook, wherever, it doesn't matter. Write down how your day progressed from the first thing you did in the morning till the moment you're doing the journaling. And it's also a good idea to do it backward. That also helps you train your brain to connect things in a different way and have a better perspective of things. And you can ask yourself a few questions every day. How much of my time today was in alignment with my real passion, desires? How much time did I spend today for my health and well-being? What triggered me today? How much I tried to stay conscious and not be compulsive? What are the fears I experienced? What things I tried to avoid? And there can be many questions like this, and these questions a lot of time reveal so many things to you. Another powerful thing that you can do, and I really recommend this, is to take a day off from being engaged in distractions. It can be once a week or once a month. You could take this day off and go to somewhere more suitable where there are less distractions, like a hike or camping or so on. And it's very interesting that the way that we're living our lives in this age, all of the times, especially in this age of social media and so many distractions and pleasures and convenience, we are so much distracted by outside that we barely even get time to pay attention to see what is going on in this one. And I think this is really bad, because we are supposed to pay attention to this one and find out what's going on so you can change it. But if all the time we are programmed to just distract ourselves with some social media, some movie, some activity, work, whatever, when will you find time to pay attention to this one, which is the most important thing? I mean, you're doing everything to make yourself whole and happy, but distractions never bring you happiness. They just bring you temporary pleasures. That's why so many of the marketing people and big industries and all of them, they're trying to grab your attention. Even where I live in Los Angeles, every damn street that you drive, there's a ton of billboards. You cannot even drive through streets without seeing something that grabs your attention. So it's important that you spend some time really trying to not do anything. Just spend time with yourself, or at least do some writing, self analysis, because that shows you a lot of things. It's very interesting when you spend some time not being distracted. A lot of time people feel bothered because they're so used to escape from themselves, especially if you're not really happy in your life, that sometimes it's even scaring or annoying to not do anything. But that's not really natural. And if you think everybody is like that, unfortunately, it's because we have been programmed to be distracted all the time. And being present and not being occupied feels unnatural, while it should feel natural. Not another technique that you can also use is to record your own voice and listen to it. Often, when you listen to yourself from a recorded voice, it gives you a different perspective of the situation. And one of my favorite things is to record my voice, especially long talking, and convert it to text and give it to AI and ask questions about the things that I discuss. I use AI as a thinking partner to analyze things and get to some answers faster. Let's talk a few minutes about meditation. Often people think meditation is some sort of spiritual, religious practice, or you have to imagine something or connect to something or whatever. But it's not really like that. Meditation really means, in many ways, to be present and conscious with yourself as you are without being distracted by thoughts. So, if you consider this process as meditation, it's also a very powerful form of self awareness. If just by sitting here and closing your eyes so you're less distracted, you pay attention to your breath, your thoughts, and your body without being engaged in them, you can literally progress into that path where we call it self realization. Because only when you start paying attention to your being, different aspects of your being, from your body, your feelings, and your thoughts, you can really start seeing what's going on. And then when you do that, and when you do this regularly, layer by layer, you start discovering who you are. And this is a lifetime activity. Well, it's been said that Buddha, after many years of suffering and doing different types of practices, one time he made a commitment to just sit under the famous Bodhi tree and not get up until he realizes the truth. And this determination is golden. And it's been said that he realized truth mostly just by paying attention to the process of breathing, the automatic process of breath. That says a lot of things about the importance of just paying attention to what's going on here. If you feel like it's very difficult to pay attention to this, then it shows that you've been avoiding yourself all the time. If it's very difficult to not do something all the time, then you are used and programmed to avoid who you are. And by avoiding who you are, there is no hope for real transformation and happiness in life. Another powerful practice that you can do is taking a silent walk without the phone. When you're walking, I don't recommend you to take that walk and keep thinking about your work or whatever, even though those thoughts will pop up automatically. I recommend you to come out of your head and come into your body. Pay attention to the way that your body moves, to your breathing, to the air that is touching you. Take a conscious step every time and pay attention to how you feel, and pay attention to your surrounding and environment. When you start paying attention to your environment without thinking about them, it unfolds the real awareness, the real being present, and you feel different, you feel expansion. Also, you can practice this by walking, or even when you're standing or sitting. Don't try to pay attention to any specific thing. So don't focus on a specific thing, but just be aware and use your peripheral vision to just perceive everything, and don't react to it. Don't analyze it. Just be, just feel, just feel, just being here and just feeling alive and breathing and feeling warm, cold, whatever. And that's a powerful practice also, which could be a meditation. You could also practice awareness while doing many things in your daily life. For example, if you only decided to eat consciously, I mean, taking the food consciously, looking at it, feeling it in your hand, putting it in your mouth, tasting it consciously without a rush, and feeling it going down and all those things. This can turn into a powerful meditation. I'm not exaggerating. If you spend eating the same food that you might be eating on rush for like 15 minutes, if you spend 30 minutes, if you have the time, or it doesn't even have to be a slow, but if you could even do it slower, it's easier to do it. And just doing it consciously, sometimes I have done this and I felt like I came out from a deep meditation and my mind was like, is this really possible? I was just eating. You can try this for a week and see how it affects you. You become much more present and much more connected to life. So these were a few examples of how you can increase your self awareness in life. And let me clarify, self analysis and self awareness are different. And I will get into this more in depth later. But when I say analysis, I'm talking about you analyzing your personality by information and thoughts. But when I say awareness, I'm saying experiencing yourself as consciousness, awareness, detached from your personality and body. That means being present, and even if for a flash of a second you feel like you are a space beyond the thoughts and personality and the body, that is the first step to self realization and higher consciousness. And what the hell higher consciousness mean? It just means that you expand and you see yourself and the universe in a more refined way, in a more expanded way. And you don't have to label this. You will know it when it happens to you, when you feel more expanded, when you feel more space, when you feel your world is expanding. So use some of these techniques on a regular basis as a initial step for personal development and spiritual practice. Even if you do one of them, and I even recommend you to use one of them for 1 month and see how it helps you. And for everything, there is a first step. And the first step for improving yourself is self-awareness. So let's do this and make ourselves and our world better. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again later.